And so, from a culinary perspective, fermentation should really be referred to as transformation. Fermentation in biology is the production of ATP from pyruvate post glycolysis in an anaerobic environment. In other words, the absence of oxygen. You can see from the examples I have just lying around here that not everything is truly anaerobic, and in fact, some are quite aerobic. So let's just look at these sort of going from the bottom up. So sauerkraut, that's truly anaerobic. Everything's submerged below the brine. I've got a weight on top. There's no oxygen in the headspace because if there were, it had been pushed out by carbon dioxide through the airlock, which doesn't allow anything back in. The yogurt's the same deal. There may be some oxygen on the surface here, but everything's happening below the surface. And then bread here, we've got some sourdough where we would have wanted oxygen at first to help with the yeast growth, but after that it switches to a fermentative state and everything happens within the dough. I guess we'll talk about this kefir. Kefir is a bit funny because you want some oxygen at first to get the grains to grow if they're not already mature. Produces kind of a more cheesy kefir, to be honest, and it's not always exactly what you're after. So lidded will create a more acidic version, but the maturity of the grains does matter there. Wine, beer, mead. We've got just some small batch mead going here. And these require oxygen at first, once again, for yeast growth, after which they will switch to a fermentative state, hence the airlocks. For sure, there are open fermented beers, wines, meads, etc., but we can talk about those another time, as well as the Crabtree effect. And then finally, we come to these aerobic transformations, we're going to call them. So this is kombucha. We can also make vinegars the same way. They require oxygen, and so you'll just get. I mean, it won't kill it. I mean, the SCOBY will eventually die if it's not fed, and that goes for everything. But in the case of kombucha, to get a proper fermentation, we need an aerobic environment, so something to keep the flies out, but allowing the oxygen in.